Welcome to the Bushido How to Play video. I'm Pedro P. Mendoza, designer of the game, and I'm really excited we get to share this game with you. So let's get started. The Way of the Warrior is known as Bushido. It's a code that promotes frugality, sincerity, loyalty, and honor. It also requires a mastery of martial arts. The only way to know how far you've come is to step into the dojo with a worthy opponent and put your training to the test. To do this, you and your opponent will draft technique cards and choose a weapon to bring to the match. On your turn, you'll play cards to build a pool of dice that you'll use to attack and defend simultaneously. The last warrior standing wins. Only then can you see which of you has most thoroughly mastered the art of Bushido. There are 2 player boards, 2 hit markers, 2 guard markers, and 2 life markers. Dice come in 3 colors, 10 red, 5 gray, and 5 blue. You'll also have some double-sided tokens with armor on one side and a Tori on the other, 16 rage tokens, 2 sets of 4 weapon cards, and 31 technique cards. To set up the game, place all the dice and tokens to the side to form the stock. Each player takes a player board, a set of weapon cards, and 1 hit, guard, and life marker. Shuffle the technique deck and set it to the side. Now you're ready to begin the game. The game is separated into 3 phases: training, arming, and dueling. In the training and arming phase, players draft cards and choose their weapons, setting up their hand for the duel phase of the game. In the duel phase, players will take turns playing technique cards to roll dice and activate special abilities. The youngest player decides whether to draft first in the training phase or to take the first turn in the dueling phase. In this video, we will refer to the player who drafts first as Player 1. Training is where players take turns drafting technique cards to form their 5-card hand for the duel. There are 5 rounds of training. For each round, draw and display 4 cards from the technique deck. Starting with Player 1, players take 1 card each from the display and place it in front of them. The remaining 2 cards are discarded. Continue this process for all rounds with Player 1 choosing first in the 3rd and 5th rounds, and Player 2 choosing first in the 2nd and 4th rounds. In the arming phase, both players will choose a weapon and a starting guard. Both players secretly choose a weapon card from their starting set and place it face down on their designated area on the player board. The rest of the weapon cards can be put to the side. They will not be used for the rest of the game. Weapon cards have several bits of information. This is the token limit, which is the maximum number of tokens you can have in your token pool at the end of a turn during the duel phase. Weapon cards also provide 3 different abilities that are tied to specific guards. Only one ability is active at a time based on the current guard you're in. For example, here we are in High Guard, which means our High Guard ability is active. After both players play their weapon cards face down, Player 2 chooses a guard by placing their guard marker on either High, Middle, or Low Guard. After Player 1 has seen which guard their opponent has chosen, they choose their own guard, placing their guard marker on their player board. Both players reveal their weapons and place a number of armor tokens equal to their weapons token limit on their appropriate slots. Take your technique cards into your hand and you're ready to duel. In the dueling phase, players take turns simultaneously attacking and defending. Both players set their health marker to 12 and their hit marker to 0. Player 2 will always take the first turn. A player's turn consists of 6 steps. To fully illustrate each step, we'll start mid-game. In Step 1, you must choose to either play a technique card and resolve its effects, or change your guard and return all previously played technique cards back into your hand. To play a technique card, place the card face up in the appropriate slot on your player board. Cover any previously played cards. Any effect on a card is active only if it is the card on top. Technique cards belong to one of 5 schools: Earth, Air, Fire, Water, or Shadow. Each card has numbers and colors corresponding to the number and color of dice you would add to your dice pool. For example, this card adds 2 red dice and 1 gray die to your dice pool. When you play a technique card, you may boost it by discarding cards from your hand that share the same school. Boosting adds a die of any color to your dice pool for each card discarded. Basic technique cards, like Furious Charge, do not belong to any school, so they cannot be used to boost another technique. Instead of playing a technique card, you can change your guard. When you change your guard, add 1 rage token to your holding area. Next, pick up all play technique cards back into your hand. Then, move your guard marker to a different position. You cannot keep the marker on the same guard. You can always change your guard even if there are no technique cards to pick up. However, if you have no technique cards to play on your turn, you must change your guard. In step 2, the player collects the dice indicated on their current guard, their top technique card, and 1 extra die for each boosted card. Before rolling, you have the option of spending any number of rage tokens to roll an additional red die for each token spent. After you roll, but before you resolve dice in step 3, you can spend a Tori token to reroll any number of dice once. You can do this as many times as you have Tori tokens to spend. You cannot use Tori tokens to reroll dice in later steps. That brings us to step 3. There are 4 possible results when you roll dice. You can resolve these in any order. A hit increases your opponent's hit track by 1. An evade reduces your own hit track by 1. An armor adds an armor token to your holding area. A Tori lets you strike or focus. If you choose to resolve the Tori as a strike, reroll the die that triggered the effect and roll an additional red die from the supply. Every time you roll a new Tori result from either die, you resolve it again as a strike or focus. Instead of resolving a Tori result as a strike, you can instead focus. To focus, take a Tori token from the supply and add it to your holding area. In step 4, you resolve undefended damage against yourself. On your player board's hit counter, the number under each space shows how much damage you receive by taking the indicated number of hits. You may, however, spend available armor tokens to reduce the number of hits. For each token spent, you can reduce the hit counter by 1. After you have spent as many armor tokens as desired, reduce your life by the amount indicated on your hit counter. Then, return your hit counter to 0. Step 5 is to collect your holding area. Move all tokens from your holding area into the appropriate areas on your player board. Tori and armor tokens go to your token pool area. If the total number of tokens in your pool exceeds your weapon's token limit, discard any extra tokens. Place your rage tokens near your token pool. There is no limit to the number of rage tokens you can have available. The final step is to check for victory. Check if either player has 0 health. If only your opponent has 0 health, you win. If you have 0 health, you lose. If you both have 0 health, it's a draw. And that's how you play Bushido. We can't wait for you to join us on the path to martial arts mastery. Thanks for watching.